welcome in my new studio.
It is beautiful in this beautiful studio
It's
to
nice,
visit
eh?
with you. Yeah.
Calm and peaceful
Oh,
and safe,
very safe.
like the womb,
Yes,
where we always wish to return to.
definitely.
And we haven't done a family wellness in a while because we've worked so hard.
And we say thank you because there's so many lives that's
Yeah.
been changed.
And we've been busy. But
it has definitely.
we are going to do the family wellness a bit different.
Yeah.
We are doing this for the viewers, but mostly we are doing this for ourselves.
Yes.
And you and I rarely get to sit like this and just be together.
Yeah.
So I've decided that we are having a one-to-one date discussion, and we are allowing the people around us to eavesdrop and to become part of our vulnerable moments
Yes.
that we are sharing with one another.
Definitely.
So we hope that the people who join and listen, that they will feel and see the vulnerability here,
And the intention.
the openness, and being a mother is hard.
It's very hard. Being a mother is so many times, Aldi, we've had several conversations in terms of being a mother. And I was so like, if they only told me.
If I only knew.
If I only knew. And it's not a bad thing. It's just I don't feel that we always are equipped to handle the different phases of development. And it's so important to empower parents, and I can see, and I see in the practice, and I see in my own life, and I know you feel in your life, that sometimes we feel, what now? It's that shocking, that overwhelm of what did I miss?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, and you know, you and I, we birthed in the same year.
Yes.
We birthed in 2013.
Yeah. I'm April.
Yeah.
And you July.
You birthed a female and I birthed a male, and they have both turned 10.
Yes.
I wanted to call this segment the Terrible Tens, and you gave me a big hiding in the dressing room. Told me that's not nice. Words have power. I then thought, okay, let's call it the Tantalizing Tens.
The informative team.
Yes, you decided that.
Also, yes, they always say a mother fight like a lion for a child. We do.
Yeah.
We fight for them to be able to cope in society one day, because what we dealt with in our years of the same age, we did not have the amount of access to information, to technology, to people, to being able to stand on their own 2 feet was not granted at that stage because it wasn't socially appropriate.
Yeah,
but
and
now I have to deal with a new world.
And I find that 10 is a very interesting age. It's a very interesting number. And since he's turned 10, since yours have turned 10, I find myself in unfamiliar territory. And I am learning and discovering parts of myself that I never knew existed. So through these children and through parenting, I am feeling more vulnerable than ever.
Yes.
Experiencing more guilt than ever.
Self-doubt.
Fear.
Yeah.
A lot of fear.
Lots
of fear.
Yeah.
And am I doing the right thing? Because we parent through our filter and we parent through our past.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things.
Our belief systems when we were children and how we were taught and raised, which is not at all wrong. At that stage, that's what we had to learn in that way, because the parents do the best they can with what they have at that stage.
Yes.
And I always say we can, and I know Dr. Shafali would always say, go back to your parenting, go back to where your mom treated you. But you know, I don't want us to see our parents as evil villains.
No.
I want to see them as young children, also vulnerable, also being raised in different environments with different consequences. And when I listened to my family's raising patterns, how many room was given to actually have a voice. So when we got older, I mean, I don't know, Alden, I wanted to ask you about this. I grew up in, we spoke quite a few times of there's a very loving household, but there were strict boundaries. And then after a while, I went to the course to the hostel, which was, I didn't know at that stage what was the difference between a orphanage and going to a hostel. That conversation we should have had before we went there. And it was, when the moment I snapped it and I realized, but you got a lot of control here, I was fine. You can set whatever you want. But I was exposed to other people's way of the way their children are raised. And I was, first of all, angry with my parents. Why did you leave me?
Yes.
Why are you not here? And my brother, me, I'm the one that would rather, I'll just push through. I'll just push it through. Fake it till you make it. Push it through. But my brother actually mirrored the tears. He would be upset about it. It was so hard for him.
Marcus also mirrors the tears.
Yeah.
Where I swallow like you.
I swallow,
press it
and
down.
you know what happens? I actually, we call it dissociation.
Yes.
You cut off the head.
I also dissociate.
It's very symbolic, extremely powerful to cut off your head, to say, I'm not dealing with this.
Yes.
I'm not dealing with this right now because I have a task, I have an exam, I have this, I have that. But the damage that we've done to ourselves with those thought patterns is not something that you would actually, we don't want to put a post-mortem of that on the table.
No, but what I also am experiencing is I have a very good memory. So I remember what I felt like when I was 10.
Yes.
I remember what I felt like in grade 2 when the teacher would scream at us. So, we have a mentor in common, and he taught us a few weeks ago on an online course that your age, your inner child age, locks in your body,
Yes.
and that age still remains in you.
Yeah.
So what I'm experiencing with Marcus now is he is accessing my 10-year-old for me now. So we are 10 years old together at the moment. And he is showing me the unhealed parts of my 10-year-old,
Yes.
which is the frightened part, the guilt part, the part that feels unsafe or unworthy. And you said something so powerful, and I want to get my phone and I want to read it. Because I think it's important that we talk about the guilt we feel as parents when we raise them.
Yeah.
And how constantly I'm saying to myself, what I'm doing to him now is going to affect him one day. Because as I look back to my youth, I go through this. And I saw this on Facebook the other day, and it was so powerful. And I want us to really listen to what I'm going to read and embrace what I'm going to say, because this is not a discussion or conversation to shame anybody or to make parents feel bad. It's about awareness. And it says here, you may want to forgive your parents for raising you through their own unresolved trauma, not being able to teach you certain skills as nobody taught them,
Yes.
not being able to understand you because they did not have the capacity to, raising you through their own struggles, worries, pain and fears, doing the best they could with what they knew they had, following certain cultural norms that they were surrounded with, being emotionally unavailable as their parents were emotionally unavailable. Now, this is not an excuse to say, okay, my parents did the best they could and they raised me. On my website and on my Facebook page, it says, your wound is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility.
Yes.
So when Marcus triggers a wound in me, and it's happening a lot at this point in our relationship,
Yeah.
I constantly have to go, okay, I remember how I felt when I was 10. I see now my parents did certain things. I look at that post and I come back to myself and I go, your wound is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. Heal
Yes.
whatever Marcus is showing you now,
Yeah.
adjust accordingly, and move forward.
And it's not always really very easy
It's
to realize
painful.
what they are showing us.
Yes, very painful.
And that's where we get so completely disrailed, because you see, this is my boundary. And very interesting, if we think about it, I always say, remember, we have not a mature nervous system, so the nervous system is maturing.
Yeah.
And very interesting that most adults that I speak to, or moms or dads or caregivers, the first memories they have is between the ages of 9, 10, 11,
Okay.
except if there was extreme trauma much younger. So what happens is, I want to just make us aware of this now. The children that turned 10 in 2020 are now 13. And in that stage, they were all at home, unsure, didn't know what's happening. People were losing their work. People that lost their income. So children that I have in the practice, and children that I have between the age of 10 to 13 and now up to 25, there's a lady that I'm working with at the moment to make her realize that you're not wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the way that your brain has decided to protect you. And when we see this in our children, our brain, they are actually learning. So, this is a possibility. They have all these plans, and they have so much wealth of technology and ideas. And you watch, who leaves the trampoline first? The floor is lava. They have all these challenges, and I see every single child at that age watching stories that have challenges. They play roadblocks. Isn't that? They learn how to solve problems.
Problem solving. So what you are saying to me is, every time I want to take my son's behavior personally, I need to realize that I'm working with an immature brain and an immature nervous system.
Yes.
Is that what you are teaching me now?
And to realize that their problem-solving skills are at a roadblocks game level.
Okay.
Or a Minecraft level, which you can be extremely well at, but that's fantasy, not reality. That's not reality. They would play and talk to each other as friends through a game. That's building bridges between fantasy and reality, but now fantasy and reality is in their face. And for us, I know myself, I love fantasy. That's why I work with children, because they are so innocent and the plans that they make are so creative. So I love fantasy. Getting me out of fantasy is quite a difficult challenge, especially if you go shopping with me, because I forget about we're on our way to buy food and I'm by the toy aisle, enjoying such a wonderful space, because it's safe there, I feel. Everything is possible.
Yeah.
So in terms of fantasy, I don't think we must see it as a bad thing, but to recognize it, that this child doesn't have the ability to build that bridge. But
So at 10, are they taking the fantasy and they're trying to integrate with reality? Is this what we're sitting with?
That's
the
what
two
we're sitting
worlds,
with.
are the two worlds now trying to meet?
They're trying to meet. And I
Okay.
don't want you to lose your creativity, because you have to write an essay one day.
Yeah.
You have to be able to access both hemispheres of the brain. So when you work with your left and right hemisphere is bigger picture, fantasy, emotion, all kinds of things. The left part is more structure, understanding the rules. And you know what? I'm very, very guilty of that, because I felt that I prepared my child. We were both of our children were in grade 1 in 2020. So they did not have the social exposure that was normal for their age at that stage. They actually only had what they had. They had us. And all of us needed to start working together to get things done. So when I think about them, I just see these little children that I thought in my mind, I prepared it to understand you're going to have a diary. You're going to have to write down your homework. You're going to have to remember there's tasks to do. and you have to take responsibility.
That's the word. Teaching them to take responsibility. And what I'm experiencing is I'm getting resistance from him because he does not want to take responsibility. And then I had to really go within and ask myself, are you ready to let your baby go? Are you ready to give him responsibility and to hold him accountable? One of my mentors, a very, very strong woman, I went to her last week and she told me a story. She says she raised a daughter like you, also her only daughter. She says in the morning they got in the car and halfway to school, she said, Mama, we forgot the project at home. And she said to her, I told you, she said, I told you before we left to put the project in the car.
Yeah.
I'm not turning around. We are going to school. And she was crying and begging her mother and saying all of these things. And this mentor of mine said, you know, Aldi, I swallowed, I persevered, and I said to her, you have to go deal with the aftermath and the result of the choice you've made, because you have to start learning to be responsible. And she says she dropped her at school. Her daughter was in tears. She says she cried all the way home as a mother.
Yes.
And when she fetched her that afternoon, she ran to her, grabbed, said, Mommy, I love you. It was a difficult moment. She says they got home, but she says after that she never forgot her project again. And then I read somewhere on Facebook, and I'll go and find it and share it. There's a school somewhere where a principal printed a big note, a big board. I don't know if you know about this. And he said, if you are standing here bringing your child's forgotten book, homework or lunchbox, please turn around or you will be forced to take the walk of shame.
Sure,
You
I
are
read that,
not,
and that was very, very interesting.
very powerful. You are not teaching your child responsibility. And if you look at the world today, victim mentality is so big.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very hard. I always say, it takes balls, Mrs. Chutney, to truly sit and look at yourself in the mirror, which is what we're going to do. But to look at yourself in the mirror and to take responsibility and to say, whatever has happened here has happened because of me. Now, I write a blog on a weekly basis and I put it on my website because I'm very vulnerable with my clients, as are you. And it's interesting, everything I blog about is what Marcus teaches me.
Yeah.
And you know, he had the cyst removed from his throat. And the one side is healed and the other side hasn't healed.
Yeah.
And he came to me the other morning and he said to me, Mama, this cut on my throat that's not healing, is it my punishment for being a bad person?
Oh.
And when he said that to me, I cannot tell you the trigger, because I realized that I, at the age of 42, have a very big fear of punishment, straf.
Yes.
And it triggered me immensely, and then I sat with him and I told him, Mama doesn't like the word punishment, let's talk about cause and effect. And at the age of 10, I can see how we need to empower them to integrate taking responsibility. Taking responsibility versus feeling that I'm being punished
or fearing that I'm going to be punished because
else.
I didn't do something wrong, or I didn't do something as someone expected of me.
Yes.
And the expectations that we set for our children the moment they go into the double digits, subconsciously, we don't do it. It's something that just happens.
Yes.
You put more responsibility. So we expect them to be able to move from one classroom to the other, have relationships with different teachers, have relationships with different friends. And I can also just warn all mothers that have their children between, especially girls, not so much boys that I've experienced, but mostly with the girls, is that they fight intensely between these ages.
With each other or with their mothers?
They are ugly with each other.
Okay.
And it's because they are starting to figure out who they are.
Okay, that's a very good thing.
They're
You told me
figuring
this
out
last
their
week.
voice.
Knowing
Yes.
who I am.
Knowing
Okay.
who I am,
All right.
figuring out what's my voice. What is the tone of voice that I have to say to someone that tells me, listen, you're not part of this group. Please find another group. The Cobra friend. Yeah? And also other friends that would, I don't want to be with you right now. I've had enough. So in terms of girls this age, we have also different body developments happening, and same with the boys. And it's not, we have to keep it in mind that they are not just dealing here, they are dealing physiologically with how am I changing, and I am fine, I'm beautiful, not finding to be competitive with each other.
Or to fit in.
And to fit in. And it was very interesting for me this last 2 years now. I've been actually just witnessing this. And, you know, I'm so grateful for the mothers of support that I've met in my life, because there's so many mothers that when we come to different events, we find each other, and I've made a point of it, not to make it a pity party, but an empowerment party. So I've made a cognitive decision not to whine and whine about things, because the more you repeat it, the more your brain believes it's true. And it's not true. It's a phase. So if a mom would tell me, you can't believe this child did this to me. And yes, I will relate with you, but I will not go into the shaming part of, what did I miss as a mom? What did I miss? Because that's what I felt. I feel that, and I don't want a mom to feel that.
So we feel shame.
Yeah.
We feel we're not doing a good enough job. We might regret things we did in the past that's affecting the current state. Am I right? Am I understanding you correctly?
Yes.
For me, what I'm experiencing is I want to shield him from the season he's in. I want to protect him, and it's not going to be for his highest and best. If I am protecting him now, I have to equip him, I have to empower him, and it's taking more effort than it used to.
Yes.
It's really taking a lot out of me. I remember the other night we had an altercation at school, and I was working hard, and the teacher sent me a voice note, and as I drove home, I had to really be in the car and become present. And I went through a moment where I said, he's going to choose a wooden spoon, and he's going to choose the green or the red Tabasco. It's going to be his options.
At least you had options.
I was like, like a serial killer was contemplating
the punishment.
And then immediately that word, that punishment came through me, and I went, stop. Yes. And then I thought of King Solomon and his Bible that wanted to cut open the babies. And then I went, stop. Stop, Aldi. This is your limbic system going in overdrive, caring what they think of you as a mother, worrying what society thinks of you as a mother. You want to react in rage. You want to parent from rage. Stop. And I remember parking in the garage, and my partner, this big man, standing there in the door, looking at me with this calm energy, saying to me, he's a mechanic, I can smell you drive a bit fast now. Do you want to take a moment? And as he said that to me, I just said to myself, will the angels just grant me wisdom now? I need wisdom, not strength. Not strength, I need wisdom.
Yes.
Because I need to now make the right decision. Because what I'm going to do now is either going to break the trust between me and my child.
Yes.
Or it's going to build a new bridge. Because, that Esther Perel lady says, conflict and confrontation is important, but what's more important is the repair. And you and I spoke about repair this week. And I realized I've always told Marcus, whatever you do wrong in the world is okay as long as you walk into this house, you tell me the truth, and you take responsibility, there will be no punishment.
Yes.
That has been my words to him for years, because I knew one day will come when he's going to grow up and become a teenager, and he's going to experience life.
And also getting those two words separated,
And-
punishment and consequence.
Yes, and the fine line. And here was my test. Choose a pop pill and a Tabasco flavor. Thank you for laughing. Or
I just see this.
Mommy's gonna parent from wisdom now. And what I said years ago and what I'm trying to teach you, I'm gonna have to have the balls now to follow through with, if you made a mistake and you told me the truth right now and you take responsibility, there will be no punishment and consequences. And in that moment when we went through that experience, which was very intense,
I can very much imagine.
I
that.
saw my child punishing himself. It broke my heart. I realized that I did not need to punish him. I did not need to do anything.
The physical reaction when we actually reprimand them at 10 changes.
Thank you.
They repeat words that I was shocked at the words that my child used. And words like, I wasn't thinking, I didn't listen, I'm stupid,
I'm useless.
I'm useless,
I'm not a good child.
I'm not a good child, forgive me, please just forgive me.
It's terrible.
And I had this moment because I really want to go into what it triggered in me when that child started, when my child actually, there's a very good reason why she was in trouble. It's not because she was in trouble because I had a bad day.
No.
It was, she really did something dangerous and there was going to be consequences. So the moment that I saw her reaction, and I think I want just to relate with you with that in terms of what it triggered in me to see how she punishes herself.
They punish themselves. We don't have to punish them. And I punish myself.
And I feel guilty.
Okay.
Because the first thing that came into me is, oh my goodness, this is my fault.
I'm harming. I'm making trauma.
And
I'm hurting.
What have we done as mothers since they have been born? We constantly try and be ahead of what's expected. Be ahead of what they have to do. And I'm starting a whole program to support mothers now, because the mommy shaming and blaming and competition is such a profound thing that's then been there for many years, but I think it's more in the forefront now than I've ever seen it before. But what I want us to realize is that when they come to us with that, we have a choice. And that is what actually triggered me, was realizing that I have this unbelievable lady, Louise Hay, that has been for many years. In the 1980s, she's already started with it, and she passed away at the age of 91. And what was important for me is how much she emphasized on how love and your world around you, you are like a sponge. Your subconscious only believes what you tell it.
Yeah, Tannie Louise is a legend.
You see?
I've said it.
And I'm telling you, there's a very interesting thing, because at that stage, computers just became part of their lives. And she said that your subconscious is like a computer. It only does what you ask it to do. But there's so much more available if you access the different parts. But you have to get to learn how it works.
Okay.
So our children is learning from us now how their computer brain works.
And do we actually know how our computer brain works?
We don't.
Because how can you empower your child if you are not empowered? Now, I'm going to ask you to teach us today. Okay, first of all, you and I have spoken a lot about self-talk.
Yes.
Self-talk, self-criticism. So when Marcus started punishing himself in our conversation, saying, I'm a bad son, I'm a bad child, I'm useless, I'm stupid, whatever. That's self-talk. So I realized when he said that I also repeat what my parents told me when I was small and what I told myself. I still today will go in my brain, Aldi, jy is simple. Aldi, this was now a stupid thing. And the self-talk, how we talk to ourselves in our mind, in our brain,
Your computer only does what you tell
we
it.
need to change our way of self-talk. You're going to teach us now with a mirror.
Yes.
We need to then teach this to the children. I realized that we are punishing ourselves. You know those movies you and I like to watch so much? There's a specific movie that I was watching where the nuns were in the monastery,
Yes.
and they have a whip.
Yeah.
But the whip has got these balls
Yeah.
at the end.
It's a cut.
And then they take it and then they whip themselves. And I
Punishment.
realized that I don't need to punish Marcus. That child punishes himself. Nobody needs to punish me. I am doing the best job ever, amper vloek ek, punishing myself.
Yeah.
Dinge sien myself op.
And our kids are mirroring this for us
Yes.
now. And I see it, first I saw it as, oh my goodness, and then I realized, but what a wonderful opportunity to get to learn why I'm triggered.
Yes, because what does Peter Crone say? A
Yeah.
trigger is a gift
Yes.
that shows you where you are not yet free.
And you have to heal that. And if we heal it, we will not have regrets.
But you know what's so difficult? Something you said this morning. You have to feel it to heal it, and we don't want to. It's not pleasant to feel the pain. It's not, dis nie lekker nie.
We live in a world of instant gratification.
You feel.
And when I work with my parents and my children, you know, children, when the technology and wherever they're busy with, every 3 seconds something is happening. So they constantly get feedback. Now I write a test. Only after my school holidays, I get my report that has an indication of what was my efforts.
And how good am I?
How good am I? And you know what? I have a very big problem with that. I do know we have to measure. If you can't measure it, but that's my words, then you can't know where you're going.
Of course.
So I love statistics and I love understanding research. But what I don't like is the fear. And I really, you know, our favorite story from Orkney Snorkney, where they mailed the report cards to the household. They actually watched the report card, the mailman, to intercept it. Because they didn't want their parents to ruin their holiday. And for me, I was thinking, you know, luckily the school that I'm at, the day that the school closes, I think it's very, very wise of what they're doing. Because the day the school closes, you only pick up your report card and you gaan huis toe. You didn't sit there the whole day. And the reason, and I said to my husband, I think it's a cut and run situation. Yeah, have a nice holiday. Bye bye, good luck.
That's hit and run.
Hit and run, totally. And I thought, nah. And how they start measuring each other about who's top 20, who's top 10, who's what I don't know. But what do you want? What is your expectation? And I want us to get a mental picture, and that's why I want to teach you this. You know those pictures on Facebook, and I love them, and on TikTok, and then also on Instagram. There's always a dad or a mom with a shield, and there's arrows coming, and how we protect our children. So remember, we did not grow up in an era where we were taught how to teach you to use this. Nah? And if you think about your Viking years, years before the day that Vasco da Gama started going through the world, they had physical wars. So you had to empower your squire. It was the knight's assistant,
yes.
But the squire became a knight later on because they had to learn how to fight. Now, I know, you know, I love Outlander, and one of the reasons I do is because I see how they actually taught each other how to protect yourself. And it was an interesting, I just had this picture of how I'm teaching you how to use your shield. Because together we are two. And in the Bible it says, 2 or more is stronger.
Yeah.
If we link together and I teach you how to use your shield, you might have much more tricks than I have. And I'm so glad because I don't know everything. I'm your mom. And I don't like the word I'm just your mom. That child chose us for a reason. And I almost just said it. So I've made a conscious decision to capture a thought and to say this is not going to be part of my vocab anymore.
Yes. So how we speak to ourselves, the self-criticism, the self-punishment, we need to replace it with self-acceptance, self-love, self-awareness, and self-actualization. One of my mentors...
And to take the time to do it.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, and I know we can be vulnerable in this. You know how busy I am. Yeah, I know how busy you are. And I really realized that that's also part of, and I made a plan about it. When do I take the time to look at my issues? Because I can dissociate. I'm very good at that. I work here, but I already just went to a funeral and then I come back. You won't even know I was at the funeral. You wouldn't even see it on my face. If you don't know me well, you will not even know I'm phased. So there's ways that I've learned how to cope with this. And I expect my child to get to the program.
With an underdeveloped brain.
With an underdeveloped sensory system. I want you to get the memo. I wrote it for you on the freaking fridge. Ons het reels. Hierso. We sat together as a family and we set up a contract because remember, we spoke about it in our previous ones. My household and my husband's household, yours household, everybody is different. So now we have all these rules written down, wonderfully pretty. We made time to do it. But now how do we practice it?
Now it's the practical.
And I want us to actually use a technique, the mirroring technique, that Louise Hay was the founder and really she went and made this part of a way you look at yourself. So I did a bit of research, and what was fascinating is that I asked everybody, how many times do you watch? Okay, let me ask you this. How many times do you look at the mirror all during the day?
In the morning when I get ready.
And why?
So that I can look acceptable to the world.
So they say we walk past mirrors and we're constantly checking to adjust
the outside.
If we are okay. We teach our children, look at your pants. Is it the right way around?
Is he zip up?
Is he zippity up? Did you do your underpants right? Are you happy with your shoes? You're going to have to tie your shoes now. Did you do your teeth? Whatever. So at the beginning, we guide them towards the mirror for checking if you are okay. But it becomes a very big thing when you have to look at the mirror and talk to yourself. Because I can remember, and I want to ask you, Aldi, when I was 10 and 11, I was in the course house, in the hostel. Sorry, I don't know what's the English word for a course house. But I can remember how weekends I retreated to my bedroom and I would look at the mirror and dance and talk to myself. And you remember, I don't know if you did it, but I had a collage of Brad Pitt and almal so plak, jy weet. I love them. So it was like so beautiful. So I watch movies sometimes so that I can just go see that person again. Because obviously now, like hulle nie so 10, 11, you know, because they're older now. But I must say, sorry for Brad Pitt, but he was at the Wimbledon. That man looks great. And one of the things that they said on the conversation during the tennis is, I'm also 50. Why don't I look that well? And when I heard it on the Roland Garros and being at Wimbledon, that some commentator mentioned, why can't I look that well? I thought, my God, gaan kyk in 'n spieël. Just look at the mirror. That guy did it today. But now I want us to do this in terms of the therapeutic method.
Okay. And this is, can I just say, this is a very hard exercise.
This is extremely hard.
This is a very hard exercise.
It took me a whole month to actually, and I will show you just now the mirror that I had, because I had to get something that I can use functionally, because I didn't want to look at the mirror and talk to myself. So I'm just going to show you this so that you guys can actually just experience.
And the earlier we can teach our children this, the easier it's going to be. Because the older you get, the resistance is very intense.
The resistance is older because our patterns in our subconscious are set in their ways.
Nee, dis nie 'n grap nie.
So I bought a skinkbord, a tray,
beautiful.
and it had to be pretty. So I put the coffee mugs on it, and then I would look at myself from this angle. It's not good always, because then you look for imperfections. And I decided, why? Why did you think you have to look for imperfections? So carrying the coffee became a bit of a problem, because I want to look and then I'm not actually looking at where I'm going. So I realized I have to get another mirror. So I'm so glad we have the upgraded way this way.
Natuurlik, ek sal ons altyd upgrade.
Ja, ons is nou by upgrade. Wat is die nuwe software update? Ons is nou by something 16, weet jy. But this is the software upgrade of what we want. So I want us to do some role play.
Okay, ek sal een vat vir die span.
Who do you want to be? This is the show. Who do you want to be?
For the team, you can be Mama Aldi.
Okay.
And I will be a little Aldi.
Little Aldi.
I'll be 10-year old Aldi.
Yes.
And you can be Mama Aldi.
Okay. So, Aldi, my love, how was your day?
Difficult.
Can you say anything that was harder because where you felt it? Did you feel it in your body where it was difficult, or was it just difficult in general?
I went to school and the Mikeys, they didn't want to play with me.
Yeah.
So I felt very sad.
And lonely?
Yes.
Did you at any stage feel that you were abandoned?
Yes. What does abandoned mean, Mama?
Abandoned means that somewhere in your mind you felt that somebody left you there and forgot about you and didn't support you. Or putting you in a space where they didn't check that you are okay. Do you like feeling supported?
What does supported mean?
Supported means Mama can tell you, I'm here for you. You are not alone. You are not just left to fend for yourself. You are blessed with being in my environment, and I'm blessed to have you. Because when I feel lonely, we are never lonely.
So
we have each other.
So when I'm at school, you are not there, and I feel afraid.
Yes.
And alone.
And your biggest thing that you just now did is so pretty. You put the right word in front of you.
Okay.
You're afraid.
I'm afraid.
You're afraid. You feel that every focus point is on you, but not to help you.
Okay.
Am I right when I say that?
Yes.
Is that how you feel?
Yes, afraid and alone.
Do you, Aldiki, ever talk to yourself when you look at the mirror? What would you think, what does a mirror do?
I can see myself when I look in the mirror.
Yes. Now I want you to look at this side of the mirror. And I'm going to look at this side.
Okay.
And we're going to do a practice. I want you, Aldiki, to feel in your body. Somewhere you're going to feel, maybe you feel, I want to cry. And if you want to cry, do. We cry together. Don't be afraid. But we're going to practice how to deal with the friends. And you're already holding.
It's here.
So it's in your heart.
It's here, yes. The
You
pain
can
is
feel
here.
it's in here.
Yes.
It feels, how does it feel?
Heavy.
Heavy. How heavy? Heavy like carrying the shopping bags that Mama has in the car? Or is it heavy like trying to carry, like you and I try to carry the inverter? How heavy is it?
Very heavy.
Very. Like the inverter heavy, no?
Yes.
We laughed about it because we realized we don't have Papa's strength.
Yes.
So we laughed at that stage because we didn't have the power, but now we're not laughing. We're actually feeling it. So what I want you to do is, I want you to look at the mirror.
Okay.
And I want you to tell yourself, I, Aldiki, approve of myself.
Approve of myself.
Say it again.
I, Aldiki, approve of myself.
Do you feel how your eyes are moving from left to right? What do you feel when you say, I approve of myself?
Pain.
And the reason you feel that pain is because you are actually learning something about yourself. I, Mama Jackie, do approve of you in everything.
Yes.
Mama will never leave you. Mama can't leave you even if I go to heaven one day. Do you know that?
Yeah.
I can't leave you. Look in the mirror again and say, I, Aldiki, approve of myself.
I, Aldiki, approve of myself.
I am lovable.
I am lovable.
Just because I exist.
Just because I exist.
I, Aldiki,
approve
of myself.
Approve of myself.
I am lovable.
I am lovable.
Just because I exist.
Just because I exist.
Now I want you to look at the mirror and who do you see? Do you see those friends being mean to you? Or do you see yourself?
What I'm seeing is I'm looking into my eyes and there's love. So I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I can feel love coming into me and going back. So through my eyes, I can see, as I'm saying, I love and approve of myself. I love you. I approve of you. There the heaviness starts to get lighter. And as I'm feeling the feeling and making space for it to come in, I can feel the love coming into me and flowing through me.
And what is the most important thing in life, Aldiki? What do you think?
Self-love.
Yes, and breath.
Yes.
I need you to breathe. I need you to take a deep breath so that your lungs can get the air so that this message goes to your brain.
Okay.
Because, Aldiki, you don't know this, but when we breathe, we give oxygen to our blood. And our blood runs all the way up and down in our body the whole time. So the moment we have more oxygen, then our brain gets food to see this as for what it is. You are Aldiki and you approve of Aldi.
So as a mature adult now, as you're
Yes.
holding my hand and I'm breathing, I'm still saying in my brain while looking into my eyes, I love and approve of myself. I love and approve of myself. I am good enough. I am worthy.
Yes.
I love and approve of myself.
As an adult, it's easier for us to do this. But as
Not
a child,
really.
it's not really. So I'm going to take you as an adult to version 16.7.
Thank you.
And I don't want to make you more vulnerable, but I want you to realize that it's not the vulnerability. Sorry, I thought it's falling. You adjusted it. Well done. You know where to look. That's what's so important. So the biggest thing that I need you to realize is that when you look into the mirror, how many times, Aldiki, did you think about those friends this week? How many days and how many times have you worried about them? Do you know how many times?
All the time.
All the time. Do you think it were more than 100 thoughts? More than 1,000 times you thought about it? Did you maybe dream about it? And every time that thought was repeated. You are not alone. You are not at all, ever to be fearful.
I am supported.
Yes.
I am safe.
Yes.
I am guided.
Yes.
I am directed.
Is there any of those words that also make you feel uncomfortable?
That I said now
Yeah.
makes me feel good.
I want you to be aware when you do this as an adult or as a child that sometimes they will tell you, I can't do that. So look with them. Put them on your lap and put the mirror in front of the both of you. Remember the shield picture.
Okay.
We are teaching you how to use your shield, how to protect yourself. So when you start doing this, it's very important to realize that sometimes you would say something and your eyes might want to just go away. Go and look at something else. It's because your brain needed a break. Don't feel scared about that. Your brain just needed a break.
I remember when I was 28, I went on a spiritual retreat where we swam with the dolphins.
Oh, wonderful.
And the lady who was our facilitator, she made us stand in 2 rows.
Sure.
And across each other. And for a minute, you had to look into the other person's eye.
Sure.
Without looking away. And then after a minute, she would say, a minute is up, and you would switch.
And you would switch.
And as you would make eye contact, you can choose one eye. But as you would make eye contact with that person, you deliberately had to say, I love you the whole minute. I love you. I love you. I love you. Send you love. I send you love. I send you love. And it was difficult initially. It was for some of the people couldn't do it. I turned around, I went and sat. But she just said, come, we're going to do this. Yeah. Because do you know how few people can keep eye contact?
Very, very little.
And look into the eye. So when you don't have the opportunity to, like you and I are making eye contact now, and I'm telling you I love you, and I can see it's making you vulnerable, and you are saying it back to me, you love me, because that's what we need to do with the children.
We need to make them realize that we are human.
Yes, and if you can't do this to someone, the mirror is the best place.
It is.
And Louise Hay says, and at this retreat, she actually took us into a meditation before we did the one-to-one, and she took us into a meditation where in your mind you had to go and sit in front of a mirror.
Yeah.
You had to sit like this, and you had to look into your eyes, and you had to say to yourself, I love you.
Yes.
And you had to give yourself that love.
Because
and it had to
somewhere, somehow, Aldi, somehow, I don't know, the narrative has become love is conditional. There's no way. In the Bible, God says love is, I give you unconditional love. But now, when I bring my homework, and I had the wonderful privilege to actually went to the Kunstefees yesterday, and there was this little girl that actually did a speech on she had to make homework. So she made a whole stew, putting the pencils and the paper into the pot and stirring it all around. And even though it had this vulgar smell and taste, I took it to my teacher, very proud. She said, although you're not a chef, you're definitely still going to get an F. I didn't ask for homework stew. I said homework was due. And the moment she said that, I realized that the teacher said, I know you're not a chef, blaming. I'm going to give you an F, blaming. I didn't ask for homework stew. I asked for homework due. So I was taken aback, and I was also laughing in my heart, because there was that other joke a long time ago where somebody would say, save our souls. And this guy, English, would come and sit behind the microphone, and he would say, please help us, how are you? How are you doing? He didn't understand that they needed help. He was just telling them, how are you? They told him he must talk to them. He's talking to them. But they're not getting the message. So what I want our children to realize is there's a message. That you are loved unconditionally. The biggest thing that this world is lacking is realizing just how much love there is. Love is everywhere.
And there's ultimately only 2 vibrations. If we take all the words and all the emotions and everything we go through in life, ultimately there's 2 vibrations, fear and love. And love is light. And fear is the darkness.
Yes.
And even this week in the practice, there's a song that came up, darkness doesn't stand a chance when the light is there.
And I'm putting this up because I want you to, and I did it with myself before I did it with my own child, and I'm doing it with my clients now as well, is that every time that you start saying these things to yourself, in the Bible says, do not ever put your light away. Gaan jou liggie skyn, 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 dat jou liggie skyn. But also you don't put your talents under a maatemmer. So like this one, do you see that his flame is still coming? It's there, but it feels like it's not fully as shining as the rest of these ones. And I want us to turn it like this, because I want you to realize that sometimes I start here and then I progressively start understanding things that come to my attention. One of the things that was profound to me, and I actually woke up very early this morning, and while I do my prayers and take time to be mindful and take time to put things in right order for myself before I put my feet out of bed, because I thank my bed every day. I've got very big issues with beds. If it's not soft and if it doesn't smell like the way I do and it's not the material I like, I didn't realize this about myself in the past, but thank goodness in 2018 I went with my colleague and we were taught by Edine Branagh, which is a wonderful occupational therapist in Ireland, and she taught us about the just right state, which is not just a word, it's about how you actually feel. And as I progressively started realizing I have to make sure that before I put my feet out of my bed, and I know we had a big joke just now about how I showed you how I dance, so I promised my husband and my child I will not embarrass them. So nobody jumps out of bed and say, Jackie, this is the life. Jackie, we're going to do it. Get up, get up, get up. There's no cheerleaders. So I would dance it for them very uncoordinatedly and make a heck of a noise. And they would look at me like, okay, this one's the opposite los. But I wanted them to realize that nobody is cheering me on. No. I have to cheer myself on. So I progressively started opening up different doors for me. And this morning, one thing that came up for me very, very strongly, and I couldn't yesterday pinpoint it. So I've realized I give myself time. I say, wait, there's always a reason why something happens. There's always for greater good. And in my past, I would have wanted to resolve a thing now. Because I don't want to go to bed angry. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to deal with my emotions.
We don't want to feel.
I didn't want to
feel. We don't. It's not nice.
Because
not
when
pleasant.
You feel, it's like, it's a dam wat breek.
It's not pleasant.
But I have this wonderful mentor that also taught me that the moment that the wall of that dam breaks, it flows.
The minute you invite the painful emotions in and you amplify and tell them it's fine, you find a place. I'm not going to resist. I said this week, resistance creates suffering. Allowance creates new possibilities and freedom.
Yes.
And
sure,
when we stop resisting what is, and in this moment I am sad or vulnerable or afraid, and we just teach the children and ourselves to not want to put a pleistertjie, to not want to numb it, but to just sit with it, feel it to heal it. As you say, allow the dam to burst and let it flow away. Be in allowance and let it flow. The light actually ignites. When you release the shame, you ignite your flame.
Yes.
And that's what we are trying to show with this exercise. And
shame comes with also having to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why we need Tannie Brené.
Yes, because shame is, she was talking on the Netflix. She's amazing, Brené Brown, and she says she's an introvert like you and me.
Yeah.
She says, and when she doesn't want to talk to someone, they ask her, so what do you do for a living? And then she says, I'm a shame researcher. And she says, the blind just goes up. So I'm going to tell the people when I don't want to talk to people anymore, I'm going to go, ek is 'n dollos dokter. And then it will go up. But when I saw my son punish himself. And when I punished myself for not being the mother I think he needs, I realized that we need to release the shame and the self-punishment and the word that you and I love. The book is actually breaking. I'm reading this part so much. But it's when you look at your parenting and you have regrets.
Yeah.
I regret that I didn't enjoy my child more. I regret that I didn't know then what I know now. I regret that if I only knew, I would have done it differently. I regret that I made him choose wooden spoons and a Tabasco flavor. Luckily, I didn't do it. So I regret that I thought about it though. So, regret is also a word that made me feel very uncomfortable. It made me feel very heavy. Even if I say it to you now, I can feel it in my throat.
And then the moment you do feel that, is I want you to capture that thought. Say to that thought, thank you for letting me know. I don't like this regretting
Showing me
feeling.
where I'm not free.
And then go back to your mirror. And while you're running, I made a song now. And please forgive me, I know it is part of The Greatest Showman from now on. So I made my song.
Okay.
And I'm singing it to myself.
Will you sing it to us?
Not now, but I will sing it to you in the future. But
Okay, tell us the words.
Let me do it.
I have to cry
I'll
on
sing.
TV. I have to cry on camera. She doesn't want to sing.
I'll sing. I'll do it. I'll do it. It's like, from now on, I approve of myself. From now on, no judgment, no regrets, no self-doubt. I am here. Don't think for one moment that I will not be here. From now on, it's an anthem in my heart from now on. And sorry, my voice is a bit soft
nice
today,
and,
but I have made it a song
Collins.
for myself because I have to do the from now on.
Yeah.
And the reason why my voice goes into a breaking mode is because it is painful to sing it to myself
And to feel.
and to smile.
And to feel. And
I love the song.
Yeah.
And I love the narrative. And I know I got the notes wrong. And that's not what it's all about.
No.
It's all about how I've integrated it into my life. So when I start thinking, I would say, from now on.
Yes.
And that's how I stop that thought. So from now on, I will not regret, not regret, not regret. From now on, I'll not judge myself, no judgment from now on.
Yeah.
I actually make it constantly because it's just a thought.
And what you are doing is you are removing, you're stopping this. And in theta healing, when I studied Bebania now, we were taught in theta what is called the heart song. So
Yes.
that's why I made you sing to the camera now, because as you sing, or someone sings for you, but especially if you do it yourself, it's called the heart song. So that vibration that is caused by your voice releases a lot of the trauma that locks in the crystalline body in the cell on a spiritual and on a cellular level.
Yeah.
When we are in the room and I'm running the bars and I put the music so loud, you are the one that taught me about bone conduction.
Yes.
So as you are singing to yourself, besides the fact that you are working on the heart center and that you are doing bone conduction, you are actually doing the heart song
Yes.
that releases grief, sorrow, and loss.
Yes.
So when you sang it now, you released it for me.
And that is, I released it for myself
Yes.
because,
Following
I
your
love
inner knowing.
singing.
Following.
And my voice, when I sing this, changes. I am a soprano and I sing a lot. I love singing. You were at my birthday and you know that singing is part of our family. And this was the first time in my life when I started singing this that my voice would break.
Ah.
And the reason for that is my heart is not trusting it.
Yes.
So I had to constantly do it. And there's a part of that song that says, it's an anthem of my heart.
I say the heart song.
And
a hard
I am
song.
very much aware of music, stories, connecting the story with music, because for in your brain, the moment that you bring in rhythm or timing, the left and the right hemisphere has to work at the same time, because you're making a picture of what you're singing and you're analyzing it at the same time. So you're doing a wonderful cross sensory, powerful feeling and event. So when I have children in the practice that are so afraid of being alone, they cannot separate from their parents, I would take them on my lap and I would sing to them. And there's a very nice song in Mary Poppins where she says, feeds the birds. So the feed the birds song is they give it tuppence a day. So they give it tuppence to get, it was a type of the pennies that they gave, and then you get a packet of seeds, and she wants you to feed the birds. So the little boy wanted to give these tuppence to feed the birds, but his father's expectation was put it in the bank. Save up your money, don't waste it on tuppence. And that tuppence in a bag, the song, the vibration, when you put them here, it is unbelievable. Children and even adults, when I do it with them and I start singing it for them, how they actually just,
It's a hard song.
and
It's a hard song.
Peter Crone said it the other day with someone else, I can't remember who he did it with. It was a lady, and she went like,
Sorry.
and he said,
There we
now
go.
you know.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, and I think what we need to, if we have to take it all together now and we have to summarize, I think the big thing that we need to say is, and I listen to 10 of her affirmations at the moment in the car, and there's two specific ones that she says that I'm repeating with her.
And that's your subconscious that needs them.
She says, deep at the center of my being, there's an infinite well of love.
love.
So that's the one I like. But the other one I'm doing for 2 weeks now, especially with everything that's happened, is I forgive myself for not being perfect. I forgive myself for not being perfect. And I'm going to read again, as we end our talk, I'm going to read again what we need to forgive ourselves for, and our parents and the people who we feel have hurt us, but the regrets that we hold on to is not serving us. We need to forgive ourselves for not being perfect. And Marcus comes to me in the morning and he has to write spelling test and he's very anxious. And then he'll say to me, Mama, and I'll go, did we study last night? Yes, Mama. Did we study again this morning? Yes, Mama. Then I repeat the words of one of my mentors, Davi. And I say, let's say it. When I do my best, God will do the rest.
Yes.
When I do my best, God will do the rest. When I do my best, God will do the rest. And that's the trust. That's the trust factor. But the regrets.
I want us to just bring something in before you read. Everybody says when we get pregnant, it will come naturally. Being a mother is awesome. Yes, I agree very much. And when we go back into mothering, I go back to Jesus' mother.
Yes.
And I don't know who of you are watching the series of Chosen, but I love it because I suddenly get a context of a character. So or a character, not a character, but an apostle or someone that's in that story. And with Mother Mary, Jesus' mother, parenting was hard. She didn't have a space where she could have people around her to support her while the baby is born. She had her husband, yes, but she was in a stable. The other part is she had to give up her only son, the son that they also reprimanded when he got lost and he was at the temple preaching to the other to the other Jewish people that know the Bible. He was teaching them. She had to let her child die on a cross and look at it and have no power. So being a mother is one of the most greatest gifts, but also something that we must realize is one of the hardest things that we're ever going to do.
And a journey that is unexplainable.
But God has an infinitive plan with a woman and with our power and loving and nurturing spirit. That's why you have an infinite well of love and wisdom. And I loved it when you said, God, give me wisdom, angels, give me wisdom. Because we think wisdom is going to be like a baie grys oomie, which is going to sit let little tasie, sissie, and then, jy moet nou mooi luister wat ek sê. Because the moment you see that, that's a judgment. And yes, God also said, Jesus said on that cross, God, why did you forsake me? So I think, and I read it this morning, that we have to realize that we've got so many tools around us to gain knowledge, to gain insight, to gain such a wealth of depthness, but we have to do it. Unfortunately, the only way through it is going through it.
You have to pick up your own cross and you have to carry it. Sometimes someone will help you for a while, but you've got to walk that journey alone.
And that people that come into your life comes in for a reason, for that time and space, to give you a constant awareness or a different perception, point of view.
Teaching you who you are.
And then at a certain space, sometimes they leave your life. And you let them go with love. Because you did learn from them.
Yes, there was a gift.
And even if there might have been times in that relationships where things went well, they were good, more good than bad, I promise you. But sometimes we have to make a decision. And what we have to teach our children is, you have a choice.
Yeah.
And you have a choice to ignite your flame.
What is regrets? And what is it to regret? And how are we understanding the word regret? And Dr. Brené released me from the negative connotation I had about regrets. And she says, the idea of no regrets doesn't mean living with courage. It means living without reflection. To live without regret is to believe we have nothing to learn, no amends to make, and no opportunity to be braver with our lives. This changed it completely for me. The idea of no regrets doesn't mean living with courage. It means living without reflection. So if I can look back at my life and reflect.
In the mirror, reflect.
Kyk nou net. To live without regret is to believe we have nothing to learn, no amends to make, and no opportunity to be braver with our lives. And when I walked into my house, and my 10-year-old had the guts to tell me what he did wrong without me having to pull it out of him, I said to him, you have shown great courage and bravery. And I'm very proud of that.
And I want us, as parents and mothers, I call it the FBI technique. How do you get out of your child what's happened that day? Do you know?
Because if you know the FBI technique right now.
So if you ask them, how was your day? Great. What you do? Nothing. How did it go with the test? Did you have homework? I'll check. They have these like short version answers. So when your child is very tired, I want to tell you something. When they interrogate someone, they take them to the point of tiredness to see whether or not their story changes. And it's not torture, not at all. Torture is something else, okay? But when you are at your most tired, the truth comes like this. So some moms would tell me, I don't have time, I don't want to sit with my child, I have things to do. I respect you completely. But I want to ask you, let's do like the kids do the challenge. Take one night a week. Sit with your child because they ask us, sit with me, mama. Lees so klein bietjie by my.
Yeah.
Stay with me. Why do they want that? Because they feel our love. So what I do then, I start asking specific questions.
Okay.
Because when you are tired, your filter is off. So they would tell me, yeah, we actually went and bought stuff at the Snoopy op Skuld. because I bought for the teacher slap chips because she likes slap chips, but I didn't have money. So I told her, don't worry, I'm good for it. I'll bring it tomorrow. Dan denk ek, oh my greatness, I'm good for it. And then they would tell me, yeah, you know, we actually didn't want to listen to this teacher today. So the moment she didn't look at us, we all pulled faces at her. But she would be telling it me like, she's falling asleep, but I'm getting the truth. It's when you face them like this, they are going to put up a shield. You have to get them to get used to speak to themselves. And if you really want to know how your child's day was, sit with them for 5 minutes and do the FBI technique. Okay. When they are tired, we get everything that they are struggling with. And that helps us to prepare. Because I am someone that don't like to be caught unawares, but it will happen. It will.
And it will indicate to us where we can empower them even more.
Yes.
So, no regrets. If you have regrets, well, no negative connotation to regrets. So, the regrets we have will teach us to reflect and to make amends. I always say to adjust accordingly and I forgive myself for not being perfect.
Yes.
Deep at the center of my being
and I want
is an
to add
infinite well of love.
Forgive yourself effortlessly.
Yes.
That word is very hard for me to do. The moment I say effortlessly at the mirror, my eyes go like this. Because I am taught in a thought way that you have to put effort into it to get what things done.
Yeah, and one of the affirmations in the practice is my life is easy.
Yeah.
Angels help me get through this lesson quickly, with ease, for I am a fast learner.
And the other thing is, I'm a fast learner, but there is a divine answer for everything at the right time. Unfortunately, my patience and the patience for the time to get the right answer isn't always in the right correlation. So if I do slip and gly my clutch and I ban the whole of TV life, I ban you from my kitchen, I ban you from my pantry because
ek
ban jou van my pantry want jy gebruik 3 pakkies flapjacks to make 1 pakkie flapjacks. But yeah, I ban you. It's no. It is giving them the idea that, listen what, you're teaching me things about myself I didn't know. Thank you for that. And you are not alone. And never ever tell yourself you are stupid or I didn't listen. Because what do we say to them? Ja, luister nie. So what do they say to us? Ek luister nie. They do what we tell them. And that for me was like, how is this? You can only portray what you were exposed to. Your computer has picked this up. And I want your computer to understand it better.
So adjust accordingly. I get taught by my mentor, when I say something negative, she goes, clear, cancel and delete.
Yeah.
Erase, delete and cancel. And now, when I find myself going into a negative thought pattern, I will not on this show explain what Kiki means, but there is a video coming up explaining it on TikTok, because on TikTok you can swear.
Yes.
But the bad thoughts in the head, I literally now say to that negative thought, stop, out, erase, delete and cancel, or clear, cancel and delete. And then I immediately replace it with, I am worthy, I am good enough, I'm doing the best I can, I love and approve of myself, I forgive myself for not being perfect, with ease. And obviously all of life comes to me with ease, joy and glory. Now, I want to say thank you to you for this amazing session.
It's my privilege.
And I want to just read this again. And I'm going to replace this because it says, you may want to forgive your parents for, but I'm going to do it like this. You may want to forgive yourself for raising your child through your own unresolved trauma. You may want to forgive yourself for not being able to teach your child certain skills as nobody taught you. You may want to forgive yourself for not being able to always understand everything because you did not always have the capacity to understand yourself. You may want to forgive yourself for raising your child through your own struggles, worries, pains, and fears. You may want to forgive yourself for doing the best you can with what information you knew and only had at that time. You may want to forgive yourself for following certain cultural norms that you were surrounded with. And you may want to forgive yourself for being emotionally unavailable at that time, as maybe the people around you were also emotionally unavailable. And now come to a point to reflect and say, what have I learned? What have I gained? And how can I adjust accordingly and take away that whip, put it away, take the mirror and start loving yourself.
Yes. That's such a wonderful way to close this today. Reflect. Look at that reflection and love it. You are lovable just because you exist.
Yes.
So,
Thank you, my friend.
This is
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this.